I think it's going. All right. Microphone's working. It's updated. We're cool. Awesome. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a late night after dark. Woo! Used to have a problem. Yeah, I got suspended permanently by Twitter last night for basically just telling Nazis to stuff it. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was in the right. I was correct in telling them to follow their leader and then posting pictures of Hitler blowing his brains out. That was the correct thing to do. That's what everyone should do to Nazis at all time. And the guys with the 1488 names and the white supremacist descriptions in their bios, yeah, tell it to all of them. Let them have their little Twitter. I guess I'll be over on Blue Sky talking to nobody at the moment. So here we are. Nothing too exciting. We had a little finger blast today. Price went up to like $6 almost. Waiting for the big hearing tomorrow on Bed Bath & Beyond. Although lots and lots of little delicious tidbits. The executive vice president of Bbyq giving quotes from Teddy Roosevelt. It's a lot of little Easter eggs out there. I mean, let's just rename the company Easter Egg because they just pepper them everywhere. And then somebody also pointed out that Ryan Cohen, in his Teddy books and also in tweets he's done, he's referred to Dream On Me, which is the name of the company that bought the IP for Bbyq, that somehow came up with like $24 million or whatever to buy it when that's like their entire yearly earnings. It's very, very interesting. I love seeing the little Easter eggs people pick out. I am terrible at picking out Easter eggs. Awful at it. I remember I was on a flight going, I can't remember if I was going to London or coming back from London. It was on Air Canada, and they had those little screens on the back of the seats, and they had some games on there. And the trivia game, they would rank you on the like the other 300 and something people on the jumbo jet. I was number one in the trivia game. I dominated the trivia game. Anyone who played that trivia game couldn't even match me. They couldn't come close. But then there was this simple children's game that was like, find the object. And it would show like a messy garage. You got to find a shovel and a rake and the kitty cat, whatever. I sucked so hard at that game. I did not stand a chance. That is probably where I've like the biggest glaring blind spot is be able to like find those little nuggets, those little pieces of information that the others can just ferret out so easily. I am not skilled at that. Give me just dump information in my brain, it just sticks there forever. But ask me to like find the snare drum in a picture of a elementary school cafeteria, I'm not gonna be able to find that thing for you at all. Anyway, bam. Make sure Monkey Butt's all nice and centered there. She's sleeping so lovely right now. Just reach over and just give her the scratches. So Monkey Butt ran away on Friday night. I was away working, and she was sunning herself in the yard, apparently. And her best friend, Hawkman, his owners, happened to walk by. Monkey's like, oh my God, Hawkman. And they played in the yard and had a great time. And my roommate's like, oh, hey, when you're done playing, can you just put Monkey Butt inside? They're like, oh, no problem. So they put Monkey Butt inside. And then like an hour later, Monkey Butt's like, I want to go outside again. So my roommate lets her outside. She just takes off looking for Hawkman and wandered miles away. And when I got done with work, I had like 8 million phone calls from people that had found Monkey Butt wandering around. And somebody happened to come by with the folks who had found Monkey and was like, oh, I don't know where he lives, but I know where his parents live. So they dropped Monkey Butt off at my dad's house. And yeah, she had a little adventure. You terrible, terrible beast, you. But hey, you know what? Sometimes we all get the legs wanting to roam. And yeah, she wasn't anywhere she hadn't been before. I think she knew where she was the entire time. She was looking for a buddy, that's all. Okay. All right. Says System 54 is here. Walt the Man in the Middle, 1:50 a.m. Eastern. Woof. I know, it's a late one. It's a late one, guys. So it's this one. This one's for like the Australians having dinner. The early morning Europeans who are like, I don't know what they're having for breakfast, like a piece of bread and some water, whatever it is you guys are doing. And then night owls who don't sleep at all. System 54, I finally sent my next bridge over to AST through Fidelity. Had to transfer and ship. Turnaround is 3 to 5 days. Also, SEC tells Coinbase to stop all trading on crypto except Bitcoin. Thoughts? What the SEC told Coinbase is probably the reason why GameStop is pausing their wallet, because they also own an exchange. What the SEC didn't like was that Coinbase had an exchange, but that exchange wasn't necessarily with other markets. It was like all entirely within their system. So they go out and buy huge amounts of coins, put them in their system, and then trade them amongst their users. And so Coinbase, probably to skirt the problems SEC has with them, will have to open up their marketplace to other apps. So that's probably what GameStop may have to do, because GameStop has a wallet and they also have a marketplace. And so they may have to open up their marketplace to other wallets in order to not also fly in that violation. That'd be my guess as to why they're kind of quietly putting the wallet off to the side, and they're probably going to program in a more egalitarian system for other competitors to join their marketplace. So yeah. Fabrizio is plopping. Says before, rest in peace to Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. Oh, Paul Reubens was a genius. A pervy genius, but a genius nonetheless. I watched an interview with him from Conan's show, like before, when Conan was still like late night after Leno's show, back in New York. And Reubens was talking about how, he gets, like, people see him, would meet him, and they'd like, hey, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, you want to come to my birthday party tomorrow? Paul would be like, oh, thanks so much. No, I'm not going to go to your birthday party. Hey, you want to come to my house for a barbecue? He'd be like, thank you for the offer, but no, I'm not going to go. And you get these offers all the time from people, from just like, hey, come on over. And after years and years and years, be like, no. He finally was like, you know what? Why not? Sounds like free food. No, everyone loves free food. Let's just do it. So he started saying yes to everybody. Hey, you want to come to my kid's graduation? Okay. Want to come to my wedding? All right. Like, you want to come over and just to my house party? Sure. My housewarming? Let's do it. My office Christmas party? Okay. He just started saying yes to all of it. And what he was describing was he made some of the best friends of his entire life because the people who had the balls to ask him to like come to their house and like celebrate their kid's 10th birthday or whatever, were like the most outgoing, funny, hilarious, ballsy people he'd ever met. And he said that he was having the time of his life, just saying yes to like every invitation he was ever given, and that he like met the coolest people ever and went to the places he never imagined and had like more fun eating birthday cake at some random kid's birthday party than he ever thought he could. Like, he just was like, well, just dive into this thing head first. And that is awesome. I would love to be able to do that. Reminds me of seeing those photographs of Keanu Reeves, where like he was filming some movie, staying in the hotel with these people who were getting married, and they're like, "Do you want to come to our wedding?" He's like, "Okay." He like showed up to their wedding the next day and like got them a gift. And is in like all their wedding photos is Keanu Reeves was like, "Thank you for inviting me to your wedding." It's just, I love that stuff. So rest in peace, Paul Reubens. You were like probably 12, 13 years older than I thought you were. So hats off for staying as young as you did for as long as you did. Patchy Football Films, Houston. Heard you explain a microwave putting 2.5 gigahertz heating water at a rapid rate with no health effect. Now please explain the effect when heated on styrofoam plate or cheap plastic. That starts to break down the chemicals that are contained in that plastic. So that's why I don't want to use cheap plastic, styrofoam, things like that in the microwave, because you're super exciting the water molecules that are in that thing, and it's superheating the plastic, which is causing the plastic to melt, off gas, distill, so you're gonna like break apart certain carbon chains that are in there, and you're gonna do just gnarly things. You'll get BPAs, PFOS, MBTEs, all sorts of weird chemicals you don't want in your system by microwaving off of goofy cheap plastic. So don't, unless you like want to grow boobs or something. I don't know. Just don't. Jiminius, Houston, did you catch any of the Skinwalker Ranch stuff on Netflix? Ever heard of the place? Thoughts on it? People always ask me about if I watched Skinwalker Ranch. I never watched it. I read the Wikipedia article, and that was enough for me to go, bullshit. It just sounds like they just wanted to create a myth so people would want to do a show or visit there. It's like the what's that island out off Canada? The one they were trying to find treasure on, but there's never any treasure there. Or the Ghost Hunters shows. Ghost Hunters shows have been around for 25 years, and they found exactly 0 ghosts. It's always like some dudes with some black and white night vision cameras, and like, did you feel that? Did you hear that? There's something here. They go, oh. The camera pans around. There's nothing. Oh, then we just missed it. That's 25 years of doing that. Just. If there were ghosts, they would have seen them by now. So easily. Walt the Man in the Middle, rest in peace, Paul Reubens. Can't believe he was 70. Yeah, he was. I figured, I was a kid in the 80s when he was doing a show. I was like, okay, he's probably like 10, maybe 15 years older than me. He was like 30 years older than me. I didn't know. I thought he was way younger than that. G-Font. Oh, no, sorry. Apache Football. P.S. E-Trade wants to send physical certificates not on next bridge hydrocarbons, says 2 to 3 weeks. That's what they're going to send, physical certificates. That's all they can send. There are no electronic certificates, so it's going to be physical certificates that they send to next bridge. G-Font, HW, took the wife to see Barbie. It was really, really good. Ken steals the show. You should channel Kenergy in tonight's show. I've not seen it yet. My brother Gardner saw it twice. He liked it so much. And apparently he dressed up both times. He sent me the goofiest pictures. I'm debating whether to post them on the internet and embarrass them or not, but they're hilarious. I haven't been to a movie in a while. I should go. I totally missed the Mission Impossible one. I like seeing the Mission Impossible movies in the theaters, but I guess I'll have to wait till it's on Paramount. One of those. Avocados. Have a great night, everyone, or early morning. Have fasting lab in the morning and then French bakery after. What is a fasting lab? Do you study the effects of not eating? Just sit around and not eat? I know French bakery. I know baking and pastry classes, but fasting lab. I don't know what that means. Walt, the Man in the Middle, is there any apes in here? Ooh, ah. Ideas Matter 7707, Houston. Are you familiar with the Sorrento Therapeutics SCLX ruling that Richard has been talking about? If so, when did the courts order shorts to cover? I hadn't heard that the court ordered shorts to cover on that one. Wasn't that the one that they ordered the shorts to reveal themselves? I hadn't heard anything about them having to cover. SCLX court ruling. SCLX court ruling. Sorrento is barred for short selling back in June. So I know the court barred them from short selling. So that was made illegal. So they couldn't short it anymore. I've not heard anything about being forced to cover though. And I don't see anything since June 15th popping up in my news feed. Here's a July 20th. Sorrento Therapeutics Incorporated Bankruptcy Court approves elective offering of restricted common stock of Silix Holding Company for dividend short holders. What does that mean? A pharmaceutical company dedicated to the development of this. So Therapeutics, a biopharmaceutical company dedicated to the development of life-saving therapeutics to treat cancer, intractable pain, and infectious disease, today announced that, in connection with its ongoing Chapter 11 case, U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas entered an order approving an offering of a portion of Sorrento's common stock in its non-debtor public subsidiary, Silix Holding Company. The offering, I call it the offering. Dividend short holders may elect to participate in the offering. The offering will provide parties who hold short interest in restricted Silix stock the exclusive opportunity to purchase restricted Silix stock for the sole purpose of recovering the short position and, to the extent applicable, delivering the borrowed shares to the lenders thereof. The dividend short holders can purchase the Silix stock either in open market purchases or in private secondary transactions with Sorrento at a price to be determined by Sorrento's chief restructuring officer in consultation with the official committee on secured creditors. In addition, the order directs record holders of short positions in restricted Silix stock to provide notice of the offering to their customers who are dividend short holders. These record holders will direct all inquiries from customers about the offering to certain representatives designated by Sorrento and the Equity Committee. The offering was negotiated by Sorrento and the Equity Committee in Sorrento's Chapter 11 case. The Equity Committee was appointed in the case to act as a fiduciary for and represent the interests of all Sorrento stockholders. So it sounds like they're offering stock in their subsidiary that the shorts then have to go buy, cover, and hand back to their lenders. Huh. That's a neat way to raise capital. You know, if the price goes, then they can make a lot of cash to pay off creditors in that way. Interesting. Interesting. There you are, just sleeping, ignoring everything. Houston bumbles his way across the universe. Okay. Off. Gah. Ideas Matter got me on that one. Trey Spider. Hello. For Brother Stupid, all y'all chatting, ain't nobody hitting that like button. Hit that like button. Hit the subscription button. Hit the button. Hit the super chat button. Cause Cruz. 98 G4 plus 25 Padaria Batista Oevo, New Caledonia. Okay, so we're going to go to New Caledonia. It's not going to be Schlong Island again, is it? Because you guys love taking me to Schlong Islands out there in New Caledonia. All right, Google Earth. Bam. Wrong screen. Up. Boom. Boom. Nope. Control V. Search. Go across Pacific. Past Hawaii. Down the South Pacific. Shabam. We're at Schlong Island. God damn it. I knew it was going to be Schlong Island. I knew it. I just knew it had to be the old Schlonger. So, New Caledonia. I know this archipelago is part of New Caledonia, but this is New Caledonia right there. Melanesians to the north. Austronesians to the north, Melanesians to the south. There it is. Good old Schlong Island. Is there a town on this island? We got, what's the name of this place? Muli? So they have a vista. They can see Schlong Island from their house. And then Lekini, Wevia, Banout. Wevea's got an airport. Huadria. See an airport out here. So there's a little guy. Got enough room to store one airplane. Some good jungle, it looks like. We need to Moas party on Schlong Island. We'll just charter a bunch of catamarans, sail out there with our supermodels and, I don't know, Brad Pitt or something, and we'll just party it up on Schlong Island and have ourselves Schlong Fest. Sound good? Schlong Fest 2024? Thank you, Carlos. Where was I? Enroll Houston. Schwab won't let me move my shares unless I have an account with AST already. I can't get a hold of AST to open my account. Fidelity shares are an IRA. They won't transfer to AST from IRA. I don't know if it was Fidelity or another brokerage, but one of the brokerages let somebody transfer shares from their IRA or their 401k into their regular account. Because there was no value associated with it, they didn't get a tax penalty. And then they were able to transfer from the regular account to AST. Now, with Fidelity, I never had to open up an AST account. They just send it in my name, and then I guess AST contacts me when they get it with the confirmation number. So I don't know what Schwab's talking about. Yeah, because other folks who have like TD, which is also Schwab, have been able to transfer. So why? You may have to just whip out your inner Karen and talk to a manager. I'd like to talk to a manager, please. And then when they give you the runaround, say, I'd like to talk to your supervisor. When they give you the runaround, eventually you'll be talking to the CEO of the company until he finally just goes, someone deal with this lady. And then you get dealt with, right? Well, the man in the middle, just informing the Big Short movie is free on YouTube Premium. All right. Jason Blackwell, Houston. Uh-oh. If you ever have to teach sex ed and need a visual aid, show the class Rubik's Cube and say, the more you play with it, the harder it gets. All right, double intro, man. You don't need to do that to me. Hey, American Mon. Happy birthday, Mon. I'll watch the show tomorrow. Have a good one. You too, my man. Kelly Reed. Banks say conditions for loans to businesses and consumers will keep getting tighter. The U.S. national debt is up $1.8 trillion since the debt ceiling crisis. It took us 209 years to add the first $1.8 trillion. We did it in just 8 weeks. This is unsustainable. Hey, birthday buddy. Do you think we will enter a global depression by 2025 caused by double-digit interest rates and inflation? Well, going back to the debt going up 1.8 trillion, most of that is due to interest. Interest rates are basically like 4, almost 5 times more than they were a year and a half ago. So when we were spending like $200 billion a year in interest, is now like $1 billion a year in interest. So that we're now, trillion a year in interest. So that right there has caused the deficit to go wonk because we're paying out so much for bonds that we're selling. Now, I'm sure the minute everything crashes and we get deflation, they'll be able to cut rates, print money, and do everything that they do all over again to be in the cycle anew. That huge amount of interest we're paying in bonds will collapse and shrink back down $1 trillion or so. And then people will go, oh, everything's fine. Except for no one has jobs and their homes aren't worth anything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, in the end, it's all make-believe. Interest rates, make-believe. Money, make-believe. It's all in our minds. And it's only worth what our brains tell us it should be worth. And it's like Tinkerbell, everyone clapping for Tinkerbell to make sure that she can fly away again. That is the monetary system. So it's just amazing how astute and steadfast we are in a giant system that's all make-believe. So weird. Just a weird concept that just because we put faces on paper and hand them to each other, they're like, now we got to spend 40 hours a week sitting in chairs going, it's just a weird, the future's weird. It's weird. Anyway, do you think we'll enter a global depression by 2025 caused by double-digit interest rates and inflation? I think there's a giant contraction coming. One that we should have just probably let happen during COVID, because we would have been in the perfect position to deal with it, sitting at home. Like, now we don't in that position. We're not in a good position to have the global economy contract by like 20%. We've got China making up economic data like crazy. Their youth unemployment is insanely high. It's like almost 50%. So 25 and under have an exceptionally high unemployment rate in China. And that's what the Chinese government's reporting, which means it's probably much, much worse than that. The real estate sector has collapsed. All the real estate companies are bankrupt. They're printing money at a rate that makes the United States look like we're conservative. Saber rattling, trying to invade Taiwan while a war in Russia's happening, where a great deal of the grains that the world relies upon to eat won't get to port. Jersey was sent me a great article showing, like, okay, if they can't leave Odessa on ships, they're gonna have to put it on trains. They're probably gonna end up at ports in Poland, but the ports in Poland don't have the capacity to handle how much grain would be coming from Ukraine. So that means grain prices are going to collapse in Europe, but at the same time, grain exports will probably disappear because 60% of the grains in Western Europe have been destroyed by the heat wave, which just means Africa is going to starve, really. If there's no excess grain that can go out, then Africa gets nothing. And that's just the way it is. So while I don't know if you guys saw that Putin was entertaining African delegation recently, trying to be like, I'm on your side. They're saying that as he's basically like, I'm going to make sure none of you have any food. It's pretty bonkers that he's going to starve them with his policies and then basically push for them to start overthrowing governments. And, that's where we are. At least now we know that all the tanks he sold them shoot their turrets 900 feet in the air the minute you got them nice and warm. So there's that. Oh, weird. Like, this side is not loading up. Okay. Where am I? I lost my spot. Big Mac, 8,000, Houston. Thanks for all your hard work. If you were an average Joe with no unique skills, what kind of job would you take to get by in these turbulent times? No skills, average Joe, turbulent times, bartender. When times are good, everyone goes out and celebrates and drinks. When times are bad, everyone's depressed and goes and drinks. Regardless, they're going to be in your bar. You can set your schedule pretty to however you like. You can take off whenever you want, have somebody cover your shift. Yeah. No skills, bartender all the way. Just get a job bartending in a little bit higher end community where people buy a little bit higher shelf, get your 20% tips, you're golden. Yanni, I'm making almost 4,000 euros stacking shelves. What kind of shelves are you stacking? Doug Kitch, it has come to my attention that several congressmen who signed the SEC letter voted against short sale transparencies. Wait, I just realized that my video is not weird. Okay, one sec. Let's see if this helps. Did that do its thing? Oh, weird. Did I? Oh, I wonder if I accidentally did not load this on my show. Ah, crap. I bet I did, didn't I? I totally put this. I did lose the chat. I think I accidentally put this on the wrong. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay. Sorry. Let me just streaming. Is it streaming? Scheduled. Ah, crap. Yep. Okay. That is that's the problem. Okay. Yep, I accidentally went streaming and it did it under the old show title and not under the new show title, which means I've got to fix all this crap. Copy. Delete that. Go like this. Shrink. No, quit. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, you stupid little. Okay. Delete you. Delete that. Delete that. Okay. All right. Copy that. So I'm going to go here. Oh, cancel. Sorry, give me a sec. I just was a big dummy. Big fat dummy. Used to being a dummy. Okay, click on that one. There we go. All right. We're going to go like this. Control V. That puts the proper title in there. Change that to show number 3035. Go here. And I go, I got kicked off Twitter for being mean to Nazis. Save that. All right. That should be a good, that should settle it for us. Okay. How do I get to, now how do I get to my chat? I did this. Okay, I can dismiss that. I can dismiss that also. Channel content, live video, change, live stream, copy. How do I get to studio? Dashboard. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to, found it. Yay. Okay. We're back on the chat. Goodness gracious. So I accidentally, when I launched the show, I forgot to select the show that was scheduled. And oops. We're back. We're back. All right. It's Liddy's here. Jackson Hunter's here. Oh, hey, Jackson. Welcome, my man. Glad to see you around. Honest friend. Whoa, did you lose the chat? I did lose the chat. Homer's Ghost. Bing bong. Not my name. What's with GME Marketplace closing and AMC news about Goldman Sachs buy rating? Well, the Goldman Sachs buy ratings last week, several theories. The most prominent one is that Goldman wants people to buy a whole bunch of call options that they'll sell, that Goldman will sell to them, and the price doesn't reach those prices, and Goldman Sachs makes a bunch of money off of apes. And that sounds like what, to me, be the most logical thing, because Goldman doesn't actually want the stock price to fly, because Goldman is liable for a whole bunch of hedge funds and family funds that trade under them as their prime broker. And when they go belly up, Goldman owes all those shares. So they don't want the price to be like $175. What they do want is the price to be like maybe $8, but they sell a whole bunch of $45 calls to a bunch of apes, and they go, and they take your money, and the price never reaches $45. That to me is probably what's going to happen. But GME Marketplace, it's not that the marketplace is closing. I think it's that their wallet is closing. Is that right? Their wallet, or at least their wallet's going to be put on the back burner for a while. But the marketplace will still exist while they probably figure out how to allow other wallets to log on to the marketplace so that they don't fall prey to the same problems that Coinbase is having. Right, monkey? Oh, stretch it out, you good dog. Yeah, just stretch it out. You're a good monkey. You can stretch it out, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at that dog. We match today. We're about the same color green on us. Hoshi, you give me a cool Hawaii fact, please. I also got a job at a school, so yay! All right, congratulations. All right, Hoshi, getting the job, moving up. Cool Hawaii fact. Every time a lava flow happens, a new species of fruit fly gets formed. Check this out. Okay, we're going to leave there. We're head to the Big Island. Okay, so these are like the, 84 flow and the 1881 flow and stuff. And you'll notice there's these little islands of trees, right? These little tiny, some of them are really small. Some of them are just a couple of trees right here. Just a couple of trees amongst these big lava flows. Well, when you have a big forest like this, it's all basically one species of fruit fly, Drosophila. And then when the flows bifurcate the forests, right, and cut up these little islands, they call them kipukas, make these little kipukas. What happens is that the flies lose a lot of their predators. They don't have the stamina to fly from here to there, so they just don't do it. And they lose their ability to fly. The predators aren't around. They don't need to fly from here to over there because they just physically can't do it. There's nothing here to eat because it's just rock, right? And so they stay in their little tree islands. And what is happening is each little island of trees ends up having a new species of fruit fly, a new flightless species of fruit fly that just walks around on the ground because they lack their predators and they have no reason to fly anymore. And everything they need is right there. So there's a whole bunch of evolutionary biologists that work at the colleges in Hawaii who just study the fruit flies in these little tree islands. And they've identified hundreds of species of fruit fly that are now genetically different from their ancestors who are in these larger forests that are together. And it's very likely, in all likelihood, now that they can't fly, another lava flow comes through and wipes out those trees. That species of fruit fly is gone forever after that. So it's pretty neat. Even there's ancient forests that are these kipukas that may have, different species. But happens in all these flows, all these little tree islands. No matter, some of these flows could be hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they will still have different species of fruit fly between the little tree islands, little kipukas. How's that? Is that a good fact for you? Seems like a good fact. Different species of fruit fly for every throng of trees you got. Angel Phillips, good to see you, Houston. G-Font talking about Barbie. Trey MC, hey Houston, from Texas. You're from Texas? Because I'm not. I just have a Texas name, that's all. Not my name. Sorry. What's it mean when Bloomberg put out an article saying city closes downside catalyst, watch call on AMC? City closes downside catalyst, watch call on AMC. Downside catalyst. That would mean probably a financial instrument designed to either benefit from the collapse of AMC share price or to drive the AMC share price down. So if they're closing that, that tells me they're expecting the price to go up. Does that make sense? Let's see what... I don't have access to Bloomberg. City closes downside catalyst AMC. Downside catalyst watch call on AMC. So this is from Investor Turf. Bbyq. Take off the Google Earth. No, go. I'm not going to subscribe to your newsletter. In the world of finance stock markets, analyst calls play a crucial role in guiding investors' decisions. These calls are made by renowned financial institutions and analysts, providing insights into the market performance of specific stocks. Recently, Citi made headlines by closing their downside catalyst watch call on AMC Entertainment, a popular entertainment company with significant presence in the market. Is this a different AMC? Oh no. Okay. I thought isn't. Oh, maybe it's AMC Entertainment. Isn't that the TV one? I guess not, because it's got the logo for the movie theater. Okay. AMC shareholders approved the company's proposal to convert apes in March. However, shortly after, the company faced a class action lawsuit. Subsequently, AMC managed to reach an agreement to resolve the legal battle. Nevertheless, the initial settlement proposal was denied. Fortunately, an updated settlement has now been officially submitted and is pending approval from the Chancery Court. The move from Citi comes as investors await Chancery Court decision that will allow the company to convert its AMC preferred equity units, known as apes, into common stock. Citi, also known as Citigroup, is one of the leading global banking and financial institutions. They offer a wide range of financial products and services, including investment banking and equity research, blah, 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 blah. AMC Entertainment Holdings, commonly known as AMC, is a well-known company operating in the entertainment industry. They're primarily involved in operating movie theaters, providing viewers with an immersive cinematic experience. In recent times, Gilby stock has garnered information. Just give me the fucking thing. All right. Catalyst watch call and significance. A catalyst watch call is a notable event in the world of stock market analysis. It refers to a cautious stance taken by analysts when they closely monitor a stock's performance due to certain catalysts that could impact its value significantly. This typically signals the stock is susceptible to major price movements. Citi previously had a downside catalyst watch call on AMC, which indicated that they were closely monitoring the stock for any negative developments that could lead to a potential downturn. Okay. So they're saying they're removing their watch call, meaning the stock probably won't go down now. So it's good news for AMC. One of the primary reasons for Citi's decision to close the downside catalyst watch call on AMC Entertainment is the shift in market sentiment. The company has witnessed a remarkable surge in positive sentiment among investors and the general public. This optimism is largely driven by a renewed interest in cinema experience, potential blockbuster releases, and a gradual recovery in the entertainment industry after the pandemic. So they're talking the strong fundamentals, a bunch of Redditors won't shut up about it, and AMC's future. So it sounds like that's what they mean. That the good times have arrived, stock price is going to fly high, no need to worry about it crashing. That's what Citi is seeing it as. Alice, use Truth Social, not Twitter. I will not use Truth Social. No. There's enough Nazis on Twitter. I need to head over to Truth Social and see them there too. All right, now I'm on Blue Sky. My account is very small. Only have like 30 people following me as opposed to the thousands and thousands. One problem Blue Sky has is they don't have DMs. And a large portion of my communications were done through Twitter DMs, which I have no access to anymore. Or X, or whatever stupid name he wants to call that place. So Jack needs to get his butt off the ground and create a DMs for everybody so that we can utilize this thing. I will have, I think, 3 codes by the end of the month. And my friend Andy is going to give me another 2 to 5 codes. So I may have as many as 8 codes to give away for August's Charity Tuesday. So we'll have a whole bunch of Blue Sky codes we can give out. And then you guys will get codes, and you guys can give away codes, and then people will finally all be able to band together and be on a single platform, and yay. Not my name, sorry. What's it mean when Bloomberg... Oh, I did that one already. I read that. Citizen 54, lasers spent over 600 hours on mergers and acquisitions. What could this mean? Is this standard for fiduciary responsibility? I don't know. I mean, is that a lot of time for mergers and acquisitions to be billing? Or is that not a lot of time? I honestly have no clue, man. I don't know. I mean, that's 600 hours. Let's see here. Where's my calculator? There's my calculator. Okay, come on, calculator. Bam. Bam. Oh, come on, bam. Calculator, come up. So, clear 600 hours at $500 an hour. All right. So $300,000 for the merger and acquisitions. That doesn't seem like a very high billing. I would expect millions for something negotiated like that. So maybe doesn't seem like too much to me. Right? Doesn't seem too bad. Bex, the show brought to you by Stressed Canadians. Happy birthday, Houston. It's a late one for you. It's early in the morning out in Ontario, is where you are, I believe. First name, last name, Houston. Why are all the planets aligned on a disk rotation instead of random orbits around the sun? I'm going back to sleep now. That's because when stars form, they form out of a gas cloud. And as the gas cloud constricts under gravity, there's always one direction of the particles in that gas cloud that happen to be moving a little more in one direction than any other, and that becomes a rotation for the entire gas cloud as it collapses. So it starts to collapse down. As it does so, centripetal force causes it to spool out the disk, just like you throw a pizza in the air, right? It's going to spread out. So it spreads out a little bit at the disk, and at the equator of the moving gas cloud. The center of that gas cloud becomes a star. The dust in the disk becomes the planets, and they all kind of rotate in the plane around the equator of that star. Now, lots of collisions happen inside. The little tiny bits of dust, gas and dust and rocks and ice that collapse together and form their planets, they have their own little unique rotations as well. Sometimes they get smacked by something really large and can knock them off kilter, which probably happened to Uranus. Uranus doesn't kind of roll as it goes around the sun. It kind of rolls on its side, doing the little loop-de-loops. Venus spins backwards to everybody else. So it probably got hit so hard, it not only just stopped its normal rotation, but hit it so hard it went backwards. So that's why largely when you look at planetary systems forming, you see this disk come out of it and these little planets starting to form out of that disk. BFH stream title. I fixed it. I hope I did. Cornsturks 2, Houston. Take a look at Bud looking to play the downside. So looks like it dropped $1.56 today. Let's see here, Chrome. So it had a high back in March, dropped when everyone was like, "Wait the gays," and it's been climbing back up a little bit. But it's about where it's been. It's higher than it was a year ago. So July this year is still $5 higher than it was a year ago. So they're still up for the last year. And the 5-year, I mean, I reached a high of $100 2019. Of course, it crashed in 2020, which means you would have thought it would have gone up because everyone's stuck at home, depressed, has to drink. But that's everything hits low in 2020 because the whole market was collapsing. Climbs back up, has a recent peak at $78 in June of 2021. When like, oh, things are fine. Everyone, Omicron hits. They go, oh no. But yeah, $40 October of last year, and we're still higher than that was. I don't know if the stock price is going to collapse like a lot of people think that it is. They are a megacorp, meaning they own hundreds of labels of beer. And it's really hard to know if the beer you're drinking is owned by InBev or not. Because they own microbreweries, cideries, all sorts of stuff. And so a lot of the guys were like, oh, screw Bud Light, I'm going to go drink Busch. It's the same company and the same beer. Screw that, I'm going to drink Natty Light. Same company. Screw that, I'm going to drink Elysian. Same company. Screw that, I'm going to drink, and they can go through the list, and it's all, any beer that they're going to say, I'm not going to drink Bud Light, is just going to be another company owned by InBev. And so there's, they may have a particular drop on one of their brands, but it will be made up for by the other brands in the long run, which is why you create a giant beer oligopoly when you can. So I don't know how much, if it's going to drop big. My guess is that the earnings will be just like they've always been, and the stock price will probably go for a while. MOAS for US. Houston, can we MOAS already? Yes, you have my permission. Macaron after party. Hey, I read through the BBBY plan released with minor changes. They certainly mention liquidation via Chapter 11 quite a lot. How do you think they will release the real plan, still holding regardless? There are so many options. They're obviously closing stores. They're liquidating and closing stores. You can go to towns across America and see that exactly happening. They're just empty, and a lot of those folks will be out of work. They're hoping most of those leases will get purchased by other parties. They're interested in having those storefronts, like Burlington Coat Factory is buying a bunch of them, etc. There's been theories released recently that the stock will maintain, and Ryan Cohen and company will use it as an acquisition company. Not necessarily a SPAC per se, but more like a holdings company for like the grander G-America / I don't know what type of conglomerate we want to call it. But I guess like Berkshire Hathaway was a textiles plant. They made like socks and underwear and stuff. And it was purchased by the Oracle Omaha as a way to be a holdings company for all of his other stock plays. So it was no longer a textile company. It was now a giant holdings company for everything else that was being done on the market, and became this behemoth of industry. And Ryan Cohen alludes a lot to how Carl Icahn uses IEP to do that, how Berkshire Hathaway is used to do that across the markets. And so he's like, hey, I got some billions. I can do this too. So that's one of the theories that's coming out. And when I was on the PP show, someone pointed out recently that a company, the American Tin Can Company, did this. And that in the 80s and 90s, they sold off all their tin cans and became an insurance company using the same stock ticker to be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's just a interesting, weird thing. Interesting, weird thing is what it is. I still think that there's going to be physical stores, at least for Baby, and that those physical stores may or may not still be connected to Ryan Cohen and the merger acquisition. I'm just curious to see what entity comes out. I mean, if you hold on to the accounting portion of the company, you still have a bunch of stock that can be used for things. And you can buy up a boatload of it on the cheap and then use that as your source for acquiring other names for your umbrella. It's gonna be weird. Attaining oneness, hit the like. Hit the white like indeed. Attaining oneness and everyone else. Luke Alexander, Houston. Is it true Rosa's case was dismissed? Time for her to go to an appellate court? I chatted with her a little bit, text message today. Sounds like that's what she's doing. She's also obtaining her California bar license. And if she gets her California bar license, she has California, Texas, and Florida. I guess that gives her standing to practice anywhere in the country. So go for it, man. Get it. Do it, Rosa. That's awesome. And then she can leave Tampa because ew. Homer's goes, who's that standing in the corner, Houston? Standing in the corner. In the spotlight? Losing their religion? Oh, Milkman, looks like I'm going to create a Blue Sky account because without Houston, Twitter sucks. I think so, too. I think the last time I checked the rankings, I was like the 8,700th most influential user of Twitter. And now I have zero influence. I have no influence whatsoever on Twitter. I am influenceless, as it were. But on Blue Sky, I have even less influence. So I did submit an appeal to Twitter where I said, help, I'm being censored for my conservative beliefs, just to see what will happen. I haven't heard back yet. But apparently a lot of people who got banned just did that and their accounts got opened again with like no questions asked. They could have been like, I'm going to stalk you and murder your family. And Twitter was like, he's being censored for his conservative beliefs. We should let him back on. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with my day now that I don't have all the stuff to read that you guys are sending me constantly on there. Citizen 54, who is Cohen Capital Value LP? Kyle's Cruz double intro coming. You bastard. All right. Michael Steegs, Houston. Do you know if shorts need to cover AMC and Ape before or after the reverse split? I don't know if they'll have to cover at all during either one. Because if you're short on, right now, if you're short on AMC, you're also short on Ape. But if you combine the two, then you're just short on AMC. Under the old rules, if you change the CUSIP number because you're combining these two, that would cause a recall. But that doesn't seem to be happening recently. That brokers and lenders like ignore the CUSIP changes now and don't force recalls on shares because they know that like it'll blow the entire market wide open. So I don't know if any covering is going to have to happen, or closing for that matter. Yeah. DKK, good morning from Denmark. Good morning from Merca. Shark Attack, I like Quack Quack instead of Big X. Quack Quack? I don't know what that is. Justin G saw a post on Reddit. Schwab not transferring shares of NextBridge to AST. Apparently, user said a guy explained they are basically in a holding pattern, waiting for NextBridge to complete a step before they can do anything. Yeah, it's bullshit because other people can do it. They're brokerages, so why can't Schwab? Schwab's making crap up. They're like, Schwab, why are you useless compared to these other brokerages that can do this? And Schwab will go, because we're useless. But then again, Schwab will let you buy like the most dumbest stock plays you could possibly imagine. They don't care. Oh, it's trading at 1/10,000th of a dollar? Don't care. Sell it for 2/10,000th of a dollar? Don't care. So they're kind of like that alcoholic dad who just kind of sleeps unless his kids do whatever. BBBY Sunday, happy birthday, US 10? The HBD? US 10? BBBY Sunday? Don't know what that means. Marco Patrick. Remember those I Spy video games where you had to click on the things in the scene and solve the puzzle? Yeah, that's the stuff that I'm terrible at. Lost Waves, do you watch Righteous Gemstones? I have not seen it yet, but it has a lot of people I enjoy watching and things, so I should probably watch it. Chris Collins, happy birthday. Chris Collins, haven't caught a live in Yonks. Well, now you have. You've caught me. Homer's Ghost third intro coming. No, I turned it off. No third intros. Alan Yu. Hey, Houston. Thoughts on docs showing 402 hours of merger and acquisition activity for BBBY? Well, that's someone asked earlier, the 600 hours. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. It seems to me that you charge millions to do that kind of work. So they aren't quite there yet. Scott Lumley, Houston, you tried to sneak a show past me. Feeling a little bruised today. Saw a sign that said falling rocks, so I tried. In fact, it does not. What? Feeling a little bruised today. I saw a sign that said falling rocks, so I tried it, and it, in fact, does not. I saw a sign that says falling rocks. I tried it. Oh, you tried falling down. It did not rock. Okay, I get the pun now. Duh. Dooey. Derper derper duh. Okay. That one took me a minute. It's late. We're an hour into a late night show. My brain apparently is not up to snuff right now. DVS. Oops. So we got the Australians here. Jason Blackwell retracted a message. BT. If the judge denies this settlement, that will absolutely trigger the largest short squeeze of all time. Institutions got baited with ape and locked in the MOAS. One can hope. I just need, for my own financial security, I need one after another to pop off so I can get into a play, explode it, get into a play, explode it, get into a play, explode it. I'm afraid that it's all going to explode at once, and I won't have the opportunity to benefit multiple times along the way. What I will be able to do, though, is whatever I get cash-wise when these things go and the stock price goes to the stratosphere, is that I can then buy lots and lots and lots of puts and write it back down again and collect all that. So that's going to be the fun riding back down the roller coaster. Jelly Beans. Hi, Jelly Beans. Now I Sam. Does anyone know what this means? Doc 1691, the filing by the plan administrator of any of the debtor's certificate of dissolution shall be authorized and approved in all respects without further action under the applicable law, regulation, order, or rule, including by action by the stockholders, members, board directors, or board managers of BBBY or of its affiliates. No. The filing by the plan administrator of any of the debtors' possessive certificate of dissolution shall be authorized and approved. I think, is this debtors dissolving their debt via the plan? I don't know. I don't know enough about bankruptcy legalese to know what the hell is talking about. John Croissant. Good night, Houston. Good night, John Croissant. Maui Sam, hello, aloha, Wade, aloha, room, aloha. Jelly Bean's got a cat in a box. Homer's Ghost says howdy, Daphne. Daphne says howdy. And everyone says howdy. Lee Campbell, greetings from the surface of the sun, Texas. It's like our 10th 75-degree day in a row. Just peaches and cream out here. Except no dad plums this year. It's another miserable year without dad plums. We had a great year in 2020. A year that was not so great in 2021 because it got so hot they burned. Last year was so cold for so long that when the trees blossomed, there weren't any bees to pollinate, so there was like 10 of them. This year, we had a similar effect. The spring didn't quite spring early enough, and not very many got pollinated. But what plums formed, they fell off when they were green and never ripened. So no plums. Even the grocery doesn't have very many plums. I normally have so many plums this time of year. I just eat plums everywhere, and there are no plums anywhere. There are no plums. I don't know what the deal is. I'm a plum man. I like my plums. I don't know how I got there. Oh, talking about the surface of the sun, Texas. Peachy Sunday, happy birthday is you is then. Happy birthday, you 10. Oh, I get it now. Okay. US 10, Houston. Okay. I'd say I'm slow tonight. Daphne, we had a group from Northern California make it on the stage tonight to speak about MMTLP at a town hall with a state senator and U.S. congressperson. They did awesome. About 600 in the audience, and we were heard and gave them materials. The person who got on the mic did a great job. She rocked it. Excellent. Fantastic. We need a little more bipartisan support on this, because right now it's a bunch of Republicans signing the letters to like the SEC and stuff. We need some Democrats who actually care about regulating the markets to, I don't know, jump on board and use this as a great way to make a name for themselves. Sell it to them that way. Scott Lumley, any idea on why No Labs price keeps going down, and would you throw money at No Labs or BBYQ right now? No Labs is a play that's probably a year or two out. So it's like collect as you go. But I'm sitting on BBYQ hoping for a rocket ship in the next couple of months. I'm not looking at BBYQ as like the slow burn that will happen 5 years from now. I'm looking at it like going nuts in October or something, if we're lucky. And then I can buy thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of shares of No Labs. And when they get, if they get FDA approval, those thousands upon thousands upon thousands of shares will be worth thousands upon thousands of dollars each. And then it's like private island and boat time. But why it keeps going down? Because they keep getting shorted. They've been getting shorted for a long time. We saw the White Diamond research paper that was complete bullshit about them. And then we had Ron on the show, and he dismantled everything they said. And since then, they've managed to like publish multiple peer-reviewed articles showing their technology works, verification from independent labs showing that their technology works, and now they've got working devices that they've constructed that are like the commercial devices they expect to launch at market first, and they're testing them. So once they get through human trials with these commercial devices and they're able to calibrate them and get them within the tolerances required by the FDA, all of a sudden they can start production. I think the moment they get FDA approval, they can start production and start selling those things. And everyone's insurance plan in the United States, for all of us big fat fatties in the U.S. who have type 2 diabetes, etc., their insurance company is going to pay for these non-invasive devices. They're going to pay $100 a month subscription fee. They're going to pay for the device themselves, all through insurance. And No Lab is going to rake it in. Absolutely rake it in. Maui Sam, certificate of dissolution shareholders worried me. Why is the market not reflecting potato salad? Why is the market not reflecting the trouble in our economy? You got me, man. Yeah. Debtor's certificate of dissolution shall be authorized. I assume that there's mention in the plan document about a new corporation emerges, right? And the current shareholders get shares distributed to them in the new corporation. Maybe they're dissolving the old corporation so it disappears forever, and then we emerge with the new corporation. That might be what it's talking about. Talvin Forgus got lucky in the plum tree. You got plums, Talvin? Ah! And then my neighbors, 2 blocks down the street, so they had this big, beautiful farmhouse. It was up for sale for like ridiculous, like a couple $1 million. And they had this tiny little kind of scraggly Charlie Brown Italian plum tree that produced amazing Italian plums every September. And it's kind of an ugly tree. But you know what? It produced a boatload of plums on this scraggly tree with almost no leaves. And the first thing the new people did when they bought that house is they cut down that plum tree. So now I have no Italian plums anywhere around for me to munch on. It's trouble. It's tough being a plum addict in a land with no plums suddenly. I just need one warm week in April, so all the bees come out and pollinate plum trees, and then I'm good to go. And I'm a happy camper. But didn't get that apparently this year. Huh? Nobody? No plums. Monkey likes plums too. Just gotta take the pit out for her. Oh, dog. Alright. Trey Spider, Houston, do you know the reason why Rose's case was dismissed? Because Hinkle in Florida's Northern District is a moron who thinks Finra has a blanket immunity to any and all legal actions taken by anyone ever. And he's wrong. He's 100% wrong. They've been successfully sued in federal courts before, but either he or his clerk are so lazy that they won't read what Rosa writes and what she's shown them. And he goes, well, I say they have immunity, so they have immunity. That's not how it works, man. Not how it works at all. They have immunity to monetary damages. She's not seeking monetary damages. So your reasoning and their reasoning are wrong. But it sounds like she's going to take it to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. And maybe she'll get it all the way to the Supreme Court on this sucker. Wouldn't that be rad to like be able to argue something in front of the Supreme Court? So cool, right? Let's figure out the limits on these self-regulatory agencies that are private companies that have the powers of government and the powers of private company while also being safeguarded against anything negative from either one. It's a magical place to be a self-regulatory agency. So let's take them down a notch. Man, I'm at the end of this chat. I hope there's not a lot of people just stuck in the other chat because I'm an idiot. And I wonder if I can go to there. I can click on that. Can I click on this one? And can I delete? How do I delete? I don't know. Delete forever. Yes. Delete. I understand. Delete forever. Okay. There. If anyone's stuck in the other chat, they're here now. But man, there's 168 of you at 11:30 at night Pacific time, which is almost 3 in the morning East Coast, which is who knows what times elsewhere in the world. Welcome aboard. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. I don't know if I'll be able to make it a full 2 hours. That seems optimistic. Chat Citizen 54, chat's been buggy lately. It has, and for some reason I can't get a lot of coordinates from folks. So everybody try to send coordinates right now. See which ones of you can get coordinates in there. Some of us are night perverts. That's one way to phrase it. Preacher Sunday to the alien who flew hundreds of thousands of light years away and crashed in the desert. Man, you suck. Seriously, like we've got these supposed advanced creatures that can make their way across thousands of light years in the galaxy and survive, right? They can face the deadly expanses of space inside a pressurized capsule, getting bombarded by all sorts of galactic rays, and manage to sort of like feed themselves and do everything else to live. And then they get to Earth and they crash. And they crash apparently a lot, according to the whistleblowers. They're crashing like all the time. Can you imagine the embarrassment of any space programs on planet Earth if we managed to like get a ship across the galaxy and then just fucking slam into a wall? We spent trillions of dollars and we've, birthed generations of people inside these ships, and then their first chance to hit the atmosphere, the ship just disintegrates and they fall into an alien world where they're then captured and all the technology is deciphered and turned into like microwaves and crap by the beings who live there. Jiga Shukla, 2:30 East Coast, from someone on the East Coast with insomnia, saw an awesome Reddit article that UC Berkeley simulations confirm LK99. I've seen three confirmations so far from different scientists and labs. So that makes 4 now for LK99. That's the room temperature superconductor. The coolest one, I think, is this crazy Russian lady using like Pyrex containers in her kitchen and crap, is synthesizing it and like now going above and beyond, trying to figure out easier ways to synthesize it using like plastic spatulas and stuff that she's got laying around. They're really interesting. It's really fascinating to read. I really need to make an LLP called Superconductor AI and just take all that Sandhill money. Because it seems fairly easy to replicate this stuff. You just bring in a couple of chemistry students from University of Washington and be like, hey, replicate this thing. I'll pay you a salary. And they're like, okay. And they do it. And then you're like, okay, now let's figure out things we can make out of this stuff. And then they start just making things out of stuff. And then you have a company that is making lots and lots and lots and lots of superconductor material and getting DARPA grants or whatever, so all sorts of things. Monkey butt, should we do that tomorrow? Oh, you got a little side eye for me. Look at that side eye. Holy smokes, that's some side eye. Yeah. Oh, da, 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 da. Larry Fitzpatrick is here. Hello, Larry. Odd thing, Salvin 4, odd thing is every year I see a lone bumblebee going between the plum and the apple tree. Huh. Just having to just doing its thing. It's probably doing all the work for you. Just that one bumblebee. You know, it's 60 years old. He doesn't know his kids don't want to participate, take on the family tradition. He's just got to work himself to the bone there. Now, Sam, always good to see you, Wade. Good health and prosperity to you and your family, not just the kind that jingles. Aloha room, good health and prosperity to each one of you and your families. Yeah, to everybody. Shark Attack, any good news on Sears? I have no news on Sears yet. I assume Get It Got will shoot me Sears news the minute anything interesting happens. But I have not heard anything as of yet. So, just keep waiting. I'm just sitting and waiting. I think I've got like 1,200 shares or something. I only invested a couple $100. But, you know, at $5, $10, $20, $50 a share, I'll be happy. Robert to Pierpoint, if we get spaceships super far distances, we wouldn't send humans. We would send AI. The whole ship could be AI, droid, or drone. But that's just not, like, cool, right? Like the only reason we send out Voyager and Voyager 2 to just go wander around space is because we can't have people wandering around space. We've got an objective. We want to send someone to this place to establish a colony, right? Because that is rad. That's what you do. That's what you do if you are explorers. So maybe you send a probe first, right? And probe goes, that's cool. Come on. And we put a bunch of people on one and send them there because you need heroes. You need people to do badass things. So we go, that's cool. That's something to live up to. So I say we create the type of society where we do badass things as people. If we have AI doing all the badass things for us, then what are we doing? We're just going to have a glorified version of Wall-E. And you know what? Turns out we didn't actually enjoy that, is the moral of that story. Having everything do everything for us. I'm a lazy guy. I do like sitting around. I love sitting around. But also at the same time, I got to move. I got to do my stuff. I want to go on adventures. I want to poke things and break stuff and learn things and have experiences. We need people we can like make statues out of. And not just, some ones and zeros that do all the work for us. Maui Sam. Oh, that's one I just read. Never mind. Mark Reed, High Court, Calcutta. Mark Reed, Dr. Demento, I'm my own grandpa. Oh, talking about space. Time travel. Thief 88, did you hear about the Roaring Kitty biopic starring Paul Dano and Seth Rogen? Yeah. It's coming out this month, I think. What are they calling it? Dumb money, I think is what they're calling it. It'll be funny to see. Mark Reed, bar to the side, engineers. No fat, lazy breeders can only get so bored. Exactly. Reduce sugar daddy. Houston, why do you think the media isn't addressing genocide in South Africa? What's happening in South Africa? I haven't heard anything about things happening in South Africa. Probably because the media hasn't been addressing it. Elon Musk accuses South African radicals of pushing for white genocide. South African farm attacks. Crimes, including murder, assault, robbery, like takes place in farms, South Africa. Myth of white genocide by James Pogue. Even a quarter century after the end of apartheid, 72% of privately held farmland in South Africa is owned by whites, who now make up just 8% of the population. As we drove towards selling, okay, when's the date on this one? There's no date on this, Harper's? Why don't you put dates on your article so I know? March 2019. Okay. My guess is if Elon's talking about it, it's probably bullshit because he's a liar and racist and not a good person. Yeah, I see it as something white nationalists jump around. White nationalists are big fans of Elon's white genocide tweets. So, yeah, my guess is that Elon's complaining that white people don't have power in South Africa because they're 8% of the population and it's post-apartheid. So that's probably where it is. Homer's Go. Speaking of Voyager, NASA lost connection with one. Have they? Voyager 2, located 12.4 billion miles from Earth, is currently unable to send back data to Earth or receive commands. Contact was disrupted when a series of planned commands on July 24th accidentally caused the antenna to point 2 degrees away from Earth. Oh no! Oh, they fucked up. I didn't hear about that. When was this? Oh, today. Happened. So it's reported today. So they sent some new commands, probably to put some new code in there, and the antenna actually went ding, which means it can no longer receive information. It can no longer send information. So Voyager 2. We messed up. Bummer, man. Well, Voyager 2. It's alright. It's alright. You know what? You'll go out there somewhere, and then it'll be Star Trek 3? Is that the one where they found Voyager 2 again? Where was I? J. King, Hugh Haston. Good morning, all. I'm still here watching great to enjoy another late night from New York City. Thanks for it all. Well, awesome. Get the super night owls in here. The sun's gonna be up for you in a few minutes. Shark Attack. I have 5,000 shares. Big donation to the show. If we hit $60, fingers crossed. That would be awesome. Hit $60 on Sears. Man, just do something. Just Eddie Lampert. You're rich already. Step aside. Let us also gain the fruits of this. Citizen 54, Ukraine has begun to hit Russian territory. They are bringing the fight to them. Do you think they would ever take Moscow or just push to the border? They'll just push to the border. And I think the drone attacks that are landing in Moscow are done by the FSB, the security services. They're just trying to scare Russians to think that they're under attack. so that when they do this next round of conscription and drag another 500,000 bags of meat to the front line to get obliterated by NATO weaponry, the people are like, yeah, screw Ukraine, and they all go and do it. The drones that hit are too small to make it the distances from Ukraine to Moscow, so they're probably from the FSB. They're probably Russian drones doing the bombing. The Ukrainians have other things to worry about. They're just trying to push back the Russians from the territory, and so that's what they're trying to do. Mark Reed, who wants land with no water? Oh wait, there's gold. That's true. Petrix 421, you rock. I am the rock god. Stokes, are there any billionaires that are good people? Come on. I mean, there is a spectrum, as there are with all things. But on the spectrum of like billionaire who just does billionaire things and shuts the fuck up and lives their life versus billionaire who is just shit at everything, who just happens to be a billionaire, Elon's on that side. And there's like, you know, the varying degrees of Bond villainness. I put Peter Thiel like 100% Bond villain. Elon is an inconvenience away from becoming a Bond villain, but he'd be more of a Dr. Evil bumbling mastermind who just can't think 2 steps ahead and is constantly like tripping over his own dick. That's the type of Bond villain I see Elon as being. Just like impulsive, so impulsive. That stupid X sign he put on the Twitter building, just strobing, causing seizures, bright, annoying everyone, no permits. It's like just chill out, man. Just chill out. Lee Campbell, don't worry, Homer. Captain Kirk will find it. Mark Reed, can we catch an asteroid yet? Just make plastic. Probably do both. Homer's Ghost FTX relaunching exchange. Did you hear that Bankman-Fried possibly did a rug pull while on probation? That he pumped a coin to $100 million and then just pulled the sucker on everybody today? Just, the dude cannot avoid himself at this point. Looks like another impulsive Bond villain wannabe. Says before, Houston, why not try and make a superconductor yourself? It would make for a great stream. Or is it a very difficult process? It's not so much a difficult process as that I don't have some of the specific equipment you'd need to do it. You need certain types of ovens that can be very controlled and specific. I have torches. I can buy glass tubes or quartz tubes. There are some things that I can do kind of in the garage, but there's also like these ovens are not cheap. A college campus will have them, so I could probably head over to the community college and be like, hey, can I use this thing after hours? I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it would be kind of cool to make a superconductor, right, Monkey? Monkey says yes. She says yes. Oh, little leg. Look at the leg blade. Leg blade. Daphne, referring to human beings as bagamies, it's awful to have feelings and families. War is awful all the way around. It's true, but that's seriously the way that the Kremlin sees their citizenry. They're literally being put into what's called the meat grinder. They take these guys without weapons, without training, without equipment, and they go, storm that line. They're like, but we don't want to storm that line. We don't have any guns. They say, storm that line or I'll shoot you in the head. And they storm the line and they all die. And then they take the next wave. And they do that too. And it's like Russia thinks this is World War II, and that eventually the Ukrainians are going to run out of bullets. So that one of these waves is just going to run them over and take land. But there is no shortage of bullets. The bullets keep coming by the millions every single day in ships and train cars and airplanes, and they keep getting stocked with lots and lots of bullets. And they keep just mowing these poor guys down. And these dudes don't want to be there. A lot of them, some like, I've read stories about you know, a 70-year-old doctor who's blind and missing a foot is being put into World War II fatigues and sent to the front line. Just, that is collapsing society type levels of operating a war. If it wasn't so sad, it'd be hilarious. Just, man. Yeah. Daphne, Putin is awful, but the people are just people living under a bad government. Yes and no. I mean, there's living under a bad government, and then there's doing what the government tells you to do. Like, if I were to get conscripted and sent to a stupid-ass war, I'm not going. I'll take prison over that. Like, I'm not going to go either kill a bunch of people who don't deserve it or die pointlessly in a stupid-ass war. I mean, there's a reason why something like 10 million people have left Russia in the last year and a half. Because they're like, I don't want part of this. And but the crazy thing is, though, you can go to like some of these towns in Turkey and stuff where they're living. You go to UAE and Maldives, and you ask these Russians, you're like, why'd you leave Russia? Like, I'm not going to fight in that war. Well, do you support the war? Like, hell yeah, support the war. Support Putin all the way. It's like, well, why don't you back that up? Why are you this chicken hawk who won't go fight in this war you firmly believe in? Well, because I know I'm dying and my ass kicked. Yeah, it's crazy. Mark Reed, it's Nam. It's worse than Nam. I mean, the U.S. government lost 50,000 soldiers from between 1955 and 1974, so almost 20 years there. And Russia right now has lost almost 300,000 soldiers in a year and a half. So it's 6 times Nam in 1/20th the time. Just, it's insane how many people have died in this war on the Russian side. And so many of them. Like, I was reading a dispatch from some sergeant that was on the front talking about how the bombardment from the drones and artillery is so non-stop. It's just constantly, every 30 seconds, all around you, that no one can move. So they don't have dugouts. They don't have like proper trenches in a lot of places. So they're just huddled in a crater, hoping the next one doesn't drop on them. Because if they move, the drone sees them and picks them off. And you know, they're hoping that maybe like they don't have airbursts happening over them and just wipe them out. But now that they've got these airburst weapons and cluster munitions, it's just taking out front lines, and the Ukrainians are busting right through. And yeah, it's just, I don't know how much longer the Russian defense is going to mount. They've lost pretty much all the railways. They lost a lot of the roads, a lot of the bridges, a lot of their ammo depots have just been blown up. It's going to be really interesting to see, like, when Russia conscripts these 500,000 dudes. I mean, they don't have tanks left. They're using T-55s. And they're claiming they've got the T-14s coming. No, they don't. They have like 10 of those, maybe. And who knows how many of those actually work. But they're using tanks from 60, 70 years ago now. And like 2 of them were just lost in the southern front. So, like, they're bringing out museum pieces to fight this war. And a lot of the people that conscripted were people that built the weaponry. So one of the problems Russia has is their barrels. You get, like, each barrel of a tank can last 500 to 1,000 rounds before the barrel fatigues and explodes and they can kill the crew. And they aren't replacing the barrels because they accidentally conscripted all the guys at the barrel factory last fall, put them in a bus, sent them to the front line, and they all died trying to storm Bakhmut over the winter. And now no barrels are getting made in the barrel factory, so all the barrels, the tanks are exploding from fatigue. So, like, oh my gosh, it's just so great that they're just that dumb, I guess. Mark Reed, is Virginia City, Nevada haunted? No. Too many tourists. Homer's Ghosts. How big would a black hole have to be in order for it to be unnoticeable in our solar system? Unnoticeable? I mean, the only time you'd notice a black hole is either when it hits you and you go, oh shit, or when material is falling into it and fusing on its way down, giving off light. Now, there are theories about micro black holes, that there's some instances where they can form. You can get these little black holes that are like just tiny little guys floating around the size of a marble. If the Earth was a black hole, it would be like 3 centimeters across or something. Like that's how big the Earth would be as a black hole. So, granted, to make a black hole from like physical compression from gravity, you need something that's at least 1.4 solar masses in size. No, sorry. That's for it to collapse into a supernova, into a neutron star. Black holes, 8 solar masses? I can't remember my numbers. Bum. 3 solar masses or a little less is the minimum size a black hole can exist. So that's it. So a neutron star between 1.4 and around 3 solar masses. After the neutron star gets 3 solar masses, it collapses into a black hole. And even then, it's kilometers across would probably be the event horizon. But like, if a little black hole wandered into our atmosphere, it would gobble up the Earth in no time. Right? Because everything that passed in the event horizon would add mass to it and it would just consume everything along its way. Maybe it could bore down and get stuck in the center of the Earth or something, and we might be able to last a little while, but eventually we get gobbled up by it all. Because as long as it comes in contact with other matter, it would pack into that core, the infinitesimally small core. But yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily a size where we would or wouldn't notice it, because the minute material starts accreting onto it, it gives off light. People in Georgia protesting Russian arrivals, including cruise ships. They do not want them in their country. Is it effective protest or unfair to people? I mean, it depends. Like, if I were Georgians with a bunch of Russians flooding into my country as refugees, who basically are men trying to avoid conscription, I would question them and be like, "Hey, do you support the war?" And they say, "Yes." Get out. We're not going to house you here. Go fight the stupid war. Which sounds like they've been doing with some of them. That they put them back on a bus, drive them across the border, and drop them off. But if really, like, screw Putin, I don't want to fight this war. He's a maniac and a weirdo. I see no problem letting those folks in. But if they're pro-Putin still, and they're pro-war, then go fight it. You don't get to hang out here and be a Putinista. Axel Gaming, love you, good vibes. You seem like you want to help people. Thumbs up if so. Thumbs up indeed. Daphne, Sarah meets many in her Spanish school in Alicante. So many adult male Russians there on student visas. I can imagine that there's a lot of them. Just boatloads. And I mean, United States isn't allowing any Russians in right now. They're not approving other student visas. It's very interesting that so many European countries are. And like reading about, some of these masterminds of the war, members of FSB, like staying in their mansions in France and nothing's happening to them. Like these dudes are war criminals. And the French are like, but they have a home here. We're not going to bother them when they're at the home. Yeah. Walt, the man in the middle. Houston, time to educate. Explain social democracy versus communism. Let's fight ignorance. Thank you. Communism basically is the people own the means of production of everything. That everything is state owned, and people are the government are the companies. That's all one thing. Under communism, according to Marxist theory, it is a natural progression from a highly industrialized state. That the errors inherent in capitalism, such as monopolies, oligarchies, cronyism, unfair pay, theft of wages, all the problems that can accumulate in a highly unregulated capitalist system, eventually leads to people going, you know what? We don't need these business guys anymore. We have all this technology. We can just take over the means of production, and we have at it. And it's a utopian ideal. I admit that. It's a total utopian ideal. I don't personally think it's achievable, mainly because as an economic system, it bleeds into a political system, and that political system seems to lose its ability at checks and balances. Democracies are not perfect. They have lots of glaring flaws, but if you've got a working one, you do have some form of checks and balances, and those checks and balances sort of keep a sociopath from being in control of everything. One thing Marx never considered is that a significant portion of the population suffers from cluster B personality disorders. You've got narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, people with borderline. Those folks outside of borderline, there's no treatment for their condition. You can't fix them, and they're like genetically predisposed to take over and manipulate their way to the top and do whatever it takes to become in charge. And that's the last person you want in charge. That's what happened in pretty much every country attempted to do communism. And the thing is that all the countries that attempted to do communism were agrarian societies that did not have the industrialization required to actually be communist. They had to go through a whole bunch of steps of industrialization and educating their population and training their workforce before they could technically assume a communist economic system. They're just farmers with pitchforks is what they were. And there are farmers and pitchforks in Russia. There are farmers and pitchforks in China. There are farmers and pitchforks in Mongolia. Farmers with pitchforks in Cuba. Farmers with pitchforks in Yugoslavia. Like, none of them were heavily industrialized. The closest to being industrialized was East Germany and the Czech Republic, but both of them had been ravaged by World War II. So at that point, their industrialization was moot. They had to re-industrialize. So social democracy, on the other hand, the big thing about that is that there's a recognition that there's an inherent greed in the population. That, like, we need to be incentivized to do things. And so giving people the opportunity to be entrepreneurs, to pursue careers that they want, whatnot, provides the basis for a whole bunch of the innovation that happens in society. And that what you need to do is you need to get, in some instances, you get the profit motive out of the way of certain aspects of the economy, such as, public utilities, electricity, water and sewage, roads, public transit, things like that. And then you create national companies that will operate these things, and national companies that will own natural resources. So you can go to like Norway, where their sovereign wealth fund is among the richest in the entire world. It has a value like $250,000 per citizen, and is all based upon the oil and natural gas wealth of Norway. Like, hey, we got all this oil and natural gas. We're going to form a national company to exploit that. We'll sell that open market, and that the benefits, the proceeds of that will go to the people who live here because they are the government. They own the company. They should get the benefit, right? That happens in countries that aren't social democracies. You got national oil companies like Saudi one, Aramco, what it's called, whatever it is. Even there's lots of places. But you recognize that there's certain aspects of the economy that should not have a profit motive. Like hospitals should not have a profit motive. You should not be trying to take care of your people and trying to earn a buck off them at the same time. You just operate at cost and provide what they need, because the whole reason you created society was to make everyone's lives better. And the reason why every other nation on earth has a much cheaper hospital system than the United States that provides, in general, much better care is because they eliminated the profit motive from that. They took the social democracy model of like, hey, this is a public utility that should be operated at cost, and its entire job is to provide a service to the people because the people own it. And yeah, so that is a benefit. But at the same time, like, you can have a phone company, a .com, a heavy equipment manufacturer. They're all privately owned. They're not owned by the nation. And so you do have profit incentive. You might have high tax rates, but the quality of life that those tax rates provide are above and beyond the rest of the world. So you got great schools, you got fantastic roads, you got great public infrastructure and transport, you've got a healthy and safe population, you've got a great safety net so that if people do run into economic trouble, they're not losing their houses or going hungry or etc. They've got guaranteed retirements that are decent and comfortable. Pensions for everyone. It's not like everyone fight for themselves, wild, wild west. Nor is it every aspect of the economy is controlled by the government. That doesn't happen as well. There's heavy regulation. There's making sure that monopolies don't form and that fraud doesn't take place. But you still trade stocks and bonds and do all those things. So that's the big difference between the communist ideal and social democracy. I personally think communism's impossible, not only because it doesn't account for the fact that a significant portion of the population are complete sociopaths and psychopaths and narcissists, but that when John Maynard Keynes invented Keynesian economics, which basically figured out a way to sort of micromanage the economy and limit the boom-bust cycle, that he pretty much made the argument for communism moot. They said, antitrust, break apart big companies, make sure no companies control too much of the economy, manage your money supply and your interest rates. And one of the ways we're failing the Keynesian system is that we constantly deregulate in the United States. We're always deregulating. We're deregulating, we're going to spur investment. And then they get this huge boom-bust cycle happening all over again. And the entire point of John Maynard Keynes was, no, you heavily regulate. You get small growth, but a lot of growth over time. And you have tiny, short recessions that you can quickly pull yourself out of. But over time, it goes up. And we're deregulating the electric industry. We're deregulating the healthcare industry. We're deregulating everything we could possibly, the financial services industry, the banking industry. And now we're getting boom-bust cycles just like we had prior to 1933. We had giant boom-bust cycles. We had economic depressions every 10 years in the United States. We're not talking recessions. We're talking like contractions of 20 to 35% every 10 years in the U.S. prior to the Great Depression. The Great Depression was just the biggest of them all. But any of those previous economic contractions that happened before the Great Depression, they all dwarf the Great Recession in size. I mean, we had between 1920 and 21, we had an economic contraction of like 26% in the U.S. It was 12% for the Great Recession. So, like, it's insane. In 1874, when we kind of gave up on Reconstruction after the Civil War, we had a contraction of like 36%. That's bigger than the contraction from the Great Depression. I think the Great Depression was like 29%. So there's something to be said about like, yeah, we won't have 10% growth. We'll have 1.5% growth. But you know what? It's going to be steady. It's going to be nonstop. And whenever we have little contractions, it's going to be so small we can do these little tweaks here and there and help ourselves along the way. John Maynard Keynes would look at what we're doing right now with the plunge protection team, the reverse repos, and he'd be like, "You've taken my beautiful creation, you've turned it into this monster. Like, you're gonna have to rip this Band-Aid off at some point and start all over again because you've deregulated so much of the industry and you allowed these banks and these investment funds to do so much damage to the markets that you're going to have to let it collapse. You're going to have to let it collapse and just start all over again with a clean sheet of paper. A clean rune stick, as they said in Norseman. Yeah, so that's where we are. Okay. Homer's ghost, could our solar system survive passing through a supermassive black hole if it were big enough? My feeling is once you're inside the event horizon, that's kind of where you probably are. Now, there are theories that you can have theoretically a large enough event horizon that entire star systems could exist inside that event horizon, but I don't think they could escape because escaping would require traveling the speed of light in order to do so. You would then be trapped at least inside the orbit of the singularity. I don't think you'd be able to escape the event horizon. So I think you could exist inside a black hole and not necessarily know it, but I don't think you'd be able to escape it. Daphne's going to bed. Good night, Daphne. Stokes, U.S. healthcare system treats symptoms, not root causes. That's also true. And that has to do with sort of the Cartesian philosophy. So Rene Descartes, he was the I think, therefore I am. He created this mechanistic system of thought, which it's weird to think about, like prior to 1500s or whenever he was living, humans thought completely differently about systems. So like Rene Descartes looked at a system, he'd break it down into little microsystems and be like, oh, well, that's broken. You just take this piece out, put this piece in, everything's fine. And that extended to how we treat healthcare. Like, oh, this little part's broken. We can just replace that. Like let's say you blew out your knee, right? So you need to get a cadaver ligament to replace your ACL or something. And you get that knee surgery done. And everything's fixed and it's fine. And you blow out your knee again. Well, the problem probably isn't the ACL. The problem is how or why you're doing a certain activity that's causing the damage. It'd be like driving a car and your clutch burns out really early. So you replace the clutch. And the clutch burns out again. You have to replace the clutch. The clutch burns out again. You have to replace the clutch. Well, the problem isn't the clutch. The problem is you don't know how to drive a stick shift. So the solution to the problem is to make sure you know how to drive your own car. Then you won't be buying clutches all the time. But very much in our system, we don't see the action behind the result. We just see the result. And I've used this as an example before. Like, we're really bad at maintenance in the United States. We're terrible at it. We don't see maintenance as like something that we just like do regularly to ensure that the system stays together. We've got some aspects of it that do that, but usually we wait for catastrophic failure and we go, who could have let this happen? And then we spend a bunch of money to replace the system that costs more than the maintenance, and then we do it all over again. Like the levees in New Orleans. The Army Corps of Engineers, they wanted like $30 or $60 million to fix all the levees in New Orleans in 2004. And George W. Bush administration was like, if we don't spend that money, that gives us $20, $30 million we can spend in Iraq. So they didn't spend it. And then the levees all failed when Katrina hit the next year, causing $500 billion in damage. So for the cost of $30 million, you could have saved $500 billion and thousands of lives. But we don't see that connection as a society. We do a really bad job at that. We just see like, oh, well, maybe we can get away with one more year without doing this maintenance. And then everything fails. We have a bridge collapse as a result. We have, planes go down because they aren't being maintained properly. We will have these systems of lack of maintenance happen constantly. And we do it in our own lives. We go like, oh, maybe I can get an extra 1,000 miles out of this before I have to do an oil change. And then your engine seizes or something worse happens. A lot of symptoms that we see, the root causes are actually our own stupid brains trying to save ourselves at the time, and we just screw up constantly. It's Jigish Shukla, run for president, dude. I'm old. I can run for president. I just don't have the $4 billion it would cost to do it. KL is not by accident. It's by design, causality. It's called karma. That happens too. Yeah. Yeah, France into the chat. Yeah, it's I don't know say like philosophically how to fix it. Well, the other day I mentioned Fritjof Capra's. Someone was asking for reading, which I think might have been System 54 was asking for reading material. Fritjof Capra's The Turning Point is fantastic. It's a big, thick philosophy book. He's a physicist. He also wrote The Tao of Physics, which is another great read. But The Turning Point deals with sort of moving on from the mechanistic thought of René Descartes into a more modern way of approaching society and the elements within it. And if you don't want to read a giant thick book, you can watch a movie called Mind Walk. Mind Walk. Yeah, it's a 1990 film. It was written by Fritjof Capra. It has no plot whatsoever. Seriously, it has zero plot. It's just these folks that they're walking around. I think it's Tycho Brahe's castle. He's one of the astronomers. He was like the royal astronomer for Denmark or the Netherlands or something. And Johannes Kepler was his understudy, who eventually came up with Kepler's laws of motion, planetary motion, figured out ellipses and how the planets all work. So there's a Capra that did the Fritjof. Yeah, Fritjof Capra was the writer. Bernd Amadeus Capra, which I think might have been his brother, was the director. But it's basically sort of these people, the tourists, they're not related to each other. They happen to meet touring this one castle, and they get in this philosophic discussion about, human thought, where we're going, and it's kind of interesting. Like you just sort of are a voyeur of their philosophical discussion about like where humanity's going. It's got Stan Watterson, John Hurt, and Liv Ullmann in it, so it's got some serious actors in there. They just walk around this castle and they just kind of talk philosophy, and it's a way of introducing Fritjof Capra's books to people who haven't read them. And I think it's a good read, a good watch. LXN, you gonna join the Fediverse? I don't know what that means. What is that? Anyway, I made it to the 2-hour point. Woo! There's still 137 of you here. Monkeys on the floor. I'm done. I need to go to bed. One more question from Homer's Ghost. Is there any weird solar phenomenon like black holes colliding with supernovas that that you are aware of? Anything that especially stands out? The supernova that created the Cat's Eye Nebula? No, Crab Nebula was documented by the Chinese around 1400. With the 1987 A supernova that was visible in the southern hemisphere in one of the clouds of Magellan. That was pretty bright. That was probably the brightest supernova witnessed by humans in the last 500 years. We've only measured the collision of black holes and neutron stars recently with the LIGO gravity detectors. So these are these big detectors. They're set up in right angles. There's one in Louisiana and there's one in Eastern Washington at Hanford. And they shoot out a laser. The laser hits a 50% mirror at a 45-degree angle, and it splits the beam down two giant, 3-mile-long tunnels, where then hits another mirror and bounces back. And if they're in phase, they cancel each other out, and the receptor doesn't see them. But if they're out of phase, and the only reason they'd be out of phase is if gravity waves pass through, it'll stretch one side a little bit more than the other, and they'll reach out of phase and they'll hit the detector. And it took 30 years to build and tune right, and then in 2017, 18 is when they got the first hits, and that's when we discovered, and we got 2 of them going, so we can kind of triangulate the gravity waves. We can see where things are coming, and then we saw neutron stars collide with each other. Now we've seen supermassive black holes collide with each other as well, and they make weird gravity waves that stretch and pull space-time and cause these lasers to go out of focus, out of phase. So we've seen the remnants of the collision via observational telescopes. We haven't seen the collision itself recorded. We just saw like the flash that happened from that. Yeah. All right. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. So I'll see you guys Wednesday. Maybe a Wednesday afternoon show. I don't know. We'll see what comes up. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me for this super duper late night Houston After Dark. And take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a great night. And After Dark outro. Shaboing.